This is the Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Wyatt Turk, and Mike Haspel. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Yeah, what's up?
Greetings and felicitations.
It's I guess it's been a little bit of a quiet week. Um G-Dub hit us with some stuff.
We had the big EC League episode. A lot of people talk. A lot of my friends listened to the episode, hit me up, and agreed that
Yeah,
they were disappointed and things like that. But there's just as many people I see who like the rules don't affect them at all, just saying this is
right.
the models I've been waiting for. So it's kind of 50-50. So
I guess a quick caveat too. I mean, we're already past it, but the box was heavily out allocated by Games Workshop, like heavily. Like nobody seems to know why. Like all the game stores are like, why do we have Infinity Deathcore, but we didn't have Infinity Emperor's Children? And I do have some theories on that, and I don't know, tell me what you guys think. But the fact that I think a lot more game stores were on like they were like, "Oh, this is the big thing. This is the first time I need to get like three, right?" So like maybe a lot more accounts raised their hand and were like, "Hey, we need this." So they had to spread it out.
Mhm.
They
That
had
makes
like the
sense.
same amount. I don't know for sure, and there's no way until you're on the inside. And once you're on the inside, that's it. You're getting Batmaned. But um, that made sense to me in some regards. I don't know.
Did Batman show his wang once in a comic book?
Oh man, for sure.
It's like a
I can't back that up. I don't know.
that's like Cody's favorite book. He has the book before they pulled it off the shelf.
I didn't read a lot of
Bat Ping is
DC.
I think is that as it's referred to.
Oh, okay.
So let's talk about last week we put out a would you rather competition.
Mm-hmm.
40K 40K longword at gmail.com submission contest. None of them made the cut, only 3 submissions. You gotta up the quality, guys. And we're also gonna up the price from a mystery box to the dice set, which is Covenant and exclusive and collectible. So you guys know you have another round of submissions and the prize has gone up. So with all that being said, let's roll out to the Cave of Wonders and touch nothing but the lamp.
Would you rather that all food deemed unhealthy started getting a massive sin tax, like SIN tax, the way that some states tax tobacco and alcohol,
Okay.
or all foods deemed unhealthy are simply like outlawed, banned, no longer sold?
Oh, like the Taco Bell franchise
Yeah.
wars.
So I'm being
Demolition
forced.
Man.
I'm being forced to be healthy. Is what's happening here.
Yes, but it's the way in which you choose it.
Yeah. Either one smacks of nanny state meddling and disturbs the libertarian, freedom loving American in me.
America.
I mean,
America.
it's not much different than didn't some governor in some state years ago outlaw
Yeah.
a
It
certain
was in
drink size?
California. Yeah.
Like,
And then
Uh,
in New York City, they did it too. They outlawed the
super
yeah.
size, like
super
Yeah.
size.
Well, no,
whatever.
and New York in general, you had to pay a sugar tax or some
Yeah,
such
something.
because I remember for a number of years I did not get a state tax return because I had to pay the commuter tax even though I did not commute, and I had to pay like a sugar tax. Like what?
so it wasn't. And what's the whole idea is that the idea of the upcharge for so little is predatory and bad for people's health or something. And it's like I understand the logic, right?
Hmm.
And so if I had to choose between banning things that are bad for me and just, you know, forcing me into a luxury tax for things that are bad for me, I would absolutely choose the luxury tax
Same.
for things that are bad
Hmm.
for because there's actually a logic to it too. Like I don't necessarily agree with the enforcement of it, but I do understand that sometimes I am my own worst enemy and and having and looking at that candy bar and be like, damn, that's just $19. Oh my god. Fuck.
You gotta really want it, bro.
Fuck, I gotta really want that candy bar today.
They do it to cigarettes. They do it to
Mhm.
alcohol already.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I don't know that it would be. I honestly don't think it would be that big a deterrent.
No,
But what
people
it
just be
might
broker.
do, well, what it might do is even the playing field, because like right now, like it seems like healthier foods cost more than say the dollar
Yeah,
menu. at
actually,
McDonald's,
that's a
right?
good point.
So if they cost about the same,
People make healthier choices.
I don't think they would.
Theory
I don't
is
think they would. I think
that
people are gonna people, and we're dumb apes, and we like the taste of fat
Yeah, dude.
and
You ever
corn
had
syrup.
a ice cold Baja Blast? Like it's the
Mhm.
greatest.
Like, dude, it's ambrosia. It's literal
Mhm.
ambrosia.
sugar. Remember the
You
gunslinger?
you know when you look at Baja Blast, there's no color of Baja Blast that exists in nature. None.
No.
You know that shit is like pure antifreeze. But when it hits your tongue, they say, "Oh, it's lime flavored." No, no, it's not. It's Baja Blast.
Yeah, there's no
chemical flavor,
lime, dog. Show
and
me the
it
lime that
is
tastes like that.
ambrosia. And the only thing better than Baja Blast is hard Baja Blast.
Yeah, it's true.
That's it.
Remember the gunslinger novels? When the gun,
Yeah, he has the popkin.
he
and
he
the
shows up in the
Pepsi.
'80s with Eddie, and he's like, yeah, he gets like a soda, like a
Yeah.
Coke, and he's like, this is a king's drink. Oh my god.
Yeah, he's just like the amount of sugar in it.
Yeah,
he's
this is
just
like a
holy.
controlled substance where I'm from, dude.
What is this? Somebody in the chat is prophesizing Baja
Oh.
Blast Midnight coming this summer. I don't know what
Oh,
that is. I already
man.
want like a case of it.
Oh, that's our boy Craig. He's up in Chi-Town where they sell the hard Baja Blast.
The hard stuff.
The hard
Yeah,
stuff.
dude.
I want the hard stuff.
Yo,
Well,
I need a
Unsurprisingly, the
good hard
Midwest
Baja
is
Blast.
target demo for those products.
Huh.
Yeah, I know. Like, I mean, for surezies, but I think if I, as the prolific troll that I am, if I had the choice to make a decision that actually affects lots of people. Remember that time? I think one of these would you rather's was like I got rid of Star Wars. Like,
Well, Disney did that for you.
Like-
Zing!
but you know what I mean? Like, I was like, it's gone. The Holy Trilogy doesn't exist. And I want to be, and just as a troll, right? Like, so I'm like, you know what? Ultimately, I know I need to eat better. I know I need to be healthier. I need to be making better decisions every fucking day. The only way that's going to happen is if you remove the fucking option. So I would pick remove the fucking option.
No. Okay.
And I would live in a world where everyone knew I'm the guy who fucking did that.
Until
I,
they tell you that on Tuesday eggs are healthy and on Wednesday eggs are not.
Yeah, who decides when it's healthy or not? Is it the current?
That's also kind of one of the brain teasers about this is because like there's lots of stuff.
Is it
that-
RFK? Does he decide, or does like the genie
no, I
decide?
mean I don't want to go like
No,
actual real world politics, but
not real politics. Yeah.
I mean there's a real chance that something like ribeye steak is considered unhealthy because of its like cholesterol content.
No, I
or
mean,
something.
dude, like, but in the country that I live in, if there's a person who's in charge of making those decisions, is that what the genie bases it on?
yeah.
Like,
Mm.
currently, that's
Keep-
this
now,
one. That's
keep
that
in
guy.
mind. Keep in mind. I'm gonna bring a little history into it. Doctors used to prescribe, not just recommend, prescribe cigarettes for pregnant women.
Yeah.
That used to be a thing.
No, and I mean, and the whole sugar. There's like a sugar mafia lobby. There's a beef
Mhm.
meat lobby, and the whole like fat-free, sugar-free wars that occurred were all based on lobbyist groups, and
Yep.
determining like, oh, this isn't healthy because this is this or this is that. So like, you could have new interest groups controlling the flow of health, and that would be wild, and that would only happen in my world. I have to remove it from the table, see what kind of chaos ensues. Think about the black market.
Now,
You want some Baja Blast, dog? I got them right here, son.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you
dude.
got you got
Prohibition
the hard
era.
Baja Blast.
I got
need
toilet
that.
fucking Baja Blast. You know what I'm saying? Making that
Right.
shit myself.
Now it's different if the genie chooses healthy and he's right. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Like if the genie says what I say is healthy food is healthy food,
Legitimately, scientifically
like
backed.
legitimately healthy, good for you, right? Then that changes the whole thing. That changes the whole equation. But I still think I'd rather pay the tax because I want the choice to drink Baja Blast with.
So are we living in a no Baja Blast world or a Baja Blast world? So it comes
That's
down to-
right. It's like I need the choice, even if I don't drink it.
Hmm.
I need to know that if I wanted to, right now, I could go get a Baja Blast and like a dozen Dunkin' Donuts, and I have that choice.
I've done that many times in my life.
So it's like, I don't know. I'd have to go with the sin tax or
Yeah,
the
you
what
choo-
do you
you
call
choose
it, the
the
luxury
tax,
tax
yeah.
or whatever you call it.
Rob, what about you? He already
is a
eats.
tough-
He's already celiac, so he's already like forced into this weird.
Yeah.
Would you just make
I don't know.
everybody eat healthy, like, and just say fuck them all? Because this would affect you, right? Because half the shit you buy would be.
It's healthy-ish. It's
You'd be fine. Actually, you only buy healthy shit.
Yeah, you got to be a little careful, but I mean, I think I've done okay with it, so why not everybody else,
You
right?
give him the choice.
It's just a
Yeah.
radical form of informed consent. That's what it is.
Radical form of informed consent. I love that.
Yeah, basically.
Rob's unhealthy food. Kara Quinn is Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi, I think, or Coke Zero or something like that. Pepsi Zero, maybe. Is that your shit?
Yeah, I got the Coke Zero.
That's always been
Oh,
your
actually,
vice.
I'm on a new cake. I'm on a Fresca.
Ooh,
The soda water, the grapefruits.
I like those. The seltzer waters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're pretty good.
Bros, okay, I'm gonna take a quick little side thing to do a plug. We are not sponsored, but get a Soda Stream. If you're
Yeah.
into like the seltzer water, the Soda Streams are the bomb.
I was looking at it and it like with the CO2 cartridge and all that. I just don't think you like save any money
You
over.
do. You save a lot.
Yeah.
And you save the environment by not getting a bunch of bottles and cans.
Hmm.
Because you can buy the little flavors for like bubbly and whatever and make it flavored seltzer water.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw all that.
That's my plug for the night.
I'm in.
Yeah, I need to take a look at
It's
it.
like
I'm meaning to.
each one of those cartridges makes like 60 liters. It's a lot.
Oh, okay, because I don't know. I'll check it out.
You haven't
Check
drinking
it out.
60 liters of water this year, Rob.
And definitely check out the commercial that the Mountain made.
Oh, yeah.
SodaStream. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Hathier Bjornson's commercial.
Thank you
Yeah.
for the recommendation.
Well, another banger. Rob, you want to do some news?
I would like to report
Oh,
that
and
I asked
also, sorry, I'm supposed to say this. We're
What's
also
that?
taking Q&A submissions
yes.
for the topic tonight, guys. Origins and evolutions of Warhammer 40K art, the Grim Dark, everything about that. So start asking questions at any point during the show starting now, and I will populate the show notes with that, and we will use the time at the end to get to those questions. Thank you, Rob.
I asked the robots what the main ingredients were in Baja Blast, and then I asked it how to get a DIY recipe, and the DIY recipe is 1 cup 8 ounces of Mountain Dew original, a 1/3 cup 3 ounces of Powerade Mountain Berry Blast, the blue one, and 1 tablespoon of fresh lime juice.
There's still a lot of Baja Blast and Mountain Dew in
Yeah.
there.
Oh, Craig sent me the promo for the new flavor. It's gonna be like a Taco Bell franchise summer flavor.
Oh,
Baja
they always
Midnight.
got the.
Oh
Some
no, I
wild
need an
stuff.
excuse to go to Taco Bell.
Speaking of Powerade, have I told you guys about Gator wine? You heard about this?
No.
That if you take like really cheap like box wine, like red wine, and you mix it with specifically the blue Powerade, it's tremendous. It's like really, really good.
Oh my God. I do remember one year at Adepticon, somebody brought like a black label Johnny Walker and Juice. I lost my shit because I thought Juice was gonna mix it with
It was
Gatorade.
It was Blue Label.
Yeah,
was
it was the
Blue
blue label. Yeah.
John Patrick brought it.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I
that was the good
about
shit.
lost my damn mind
and you thought he mixed it with
with
I mean, it
Gatorade.
was a prank. He made
It
you
was a
think.
prank. Yeah.
Yeah, you almost had a heart attack.
Yeah. It was ugly.
That's the yeah. That stuff was good. It's hard. It's very expensive. Hard to find.
So it's
All right.
like wine and blue.
Yeah, so there's this guy on YouTube who's like it's like a cooking channel. He makes
Ah.
stuff from like TV shows,
Mhm.
and he's really famous. His name is like Binging with Babish, and he did this video of user submissions, like the wackiest thing that people like. Actually, you can't just like think of gross shit. Like it's something you
Right,
actually have
right.
to eat at home, like snacks, meals, whatever. Right? Some of them crazy good. He's like, this is surprisingly good. Um, a lot of them were Garbo. And they're like, you guys are savages. I can't believe you eat this. But then one was Gator wine. And it was like, it's like 2 parts like cheapo red box wine, 1 part blue Powerade or blue Gatorade. It's the name. And he was like, this is surprisingly good. Like, I have yet to try it myself. But he got fucking wasted during that video because they had like an entire box and mixed
And they
up.
just drank it all.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, like many drinks, if you make it like really sweet and delicious, you stop noticing how much you
Oh,
drink
yeah.
of alcohol
Oh, yeah.
content.
Yeah, that could put you down depending on what you do specifically for it. All right, well, let's get to some news here before we get into some artsy stuff. So this week's new GW releases are the Get Mob separate releases. So basically everything else for the Get Mobs that comes in the army box. Although I do think the HQ guy was direct only, but they do have the Doom Diver catapult and the special character Chariot, Sun Chaser, Stealer, Wheelers, some such. So models look cool. That actually is a small model count army too, Wyatt. Not as small as 3 models, but that one's definitely smaller. Um, what else we got? Oh yeah, so there is, if you're in the RPGs in the Warhams and you like the Wrath and Glory system, they are back up on Humble Bundle right now for I think it's $232 worth of books for $25, which pretty solid steal, if you ask me. Includes the
That was
what?
on Humble Bundle. I am all over that, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that stuff.
Um, and they even had the recent book. It's like from basically Space Marine 2, the Titus and them fighting the swarm. So it's pretty up to date collection. I think it's 12 books. So check that out. We got an article up and a little affiliate link too if you want to throw us some dimes and nickels so we can afford our luxury tax on our sugars. Um, Next up is the Adepticon preview, which of course will be happening. I think actually 3 weeks from today, 2 weeks from today, 3 weeks from today, the 26th at 10 p.m. So this is Wednesday. So 3 weeks from today, we will have all the latest new releases on the way, soon to be on the way from Games Workshop, probably for a number of game systems, because there really isn't a whole lot out there, unfortunately, and we haven't even seen a Kill Team roadmap at all since the reboot, which is kind of interesting. So hopefully they'll put one of those out as well. But Adepticon's it's happening. It's very soon, very soon.
Mhm.
So this is going to be the first of many big ones. They're like, I was talking to one of the organizers today, and he's like, "Yeah, there's been a lot of organizational challenges this year that we didn't have, that we didn't anticipate, because everything usually is pretty smooth, but there's a lot of like lessons learned that first year, but then they'll be able to just kind of like go crazy because they'll have it down, they'll know what works, they'll know where they can expand, they know what where to fix things, and it's going to be really exciting to see year 2, I think."
Yeah, let's also talk about how for the long war doubles, we set codes out,
Oh yeah,
and maybe
and
the first day, you couldn't register because we hadn't pressed one of the sliders.
You gotta turn it on and turn it off.
Yeah, so the slider has been activated, guys. So when you guys follow the link to the Best Coast Pairings app, you'll be able to use your unique token. Please do that literally immediately upon hearing this.
Do not wait.
yeah,
Because
let's,
this is a huge fucking event. We can't burn. I mean, everything is we're gonna have to burn time making sure people are checked in and registered. We just can't burn more time than is reasonable. Like
Right.
it's always gonna happen.
It can't scale. Like there's time, but it can't scale with the amount of participants.
And we currently have 43 teams out of like 150 registered right now. So
That's
that's
like
not
a
bad.
third.
It's not bad. But let's go. You hear this? Please go back to your link. Know that it works. Use your tokens. Thank you, guys. Rob, sorry for onboarding.
No, you're fine. I'm just making sure nothing crazy was happening outside. All right, so Adepticon preview, big event. And if you're there, come by on Friday. See us all. We'll be at the table, the event table, or running around screaming, trying to pair people up and things.
Yeah.
We'll see.
try not to get obliterated on hard Baja blasts in the first hour.
Oh well, I have a problem with these things.
Dude, that was all of us.
Rob got
Nah.
obliterated on some of that Gator wine.
Oh, man, I don't even know. At some point, I
You're
don't
good
even know
for
what I was
that, like
drinking.
once a year, dude. Like, just
Yeah, I bet Brad Chester would be a big fan of Gator wine.
Yeah.
It's probably like right up his alley. I should tell him about it.
I don't even, dude. Arthur was telling me stories like the shit I was doing that night, and I was just like, bro.
The thing
I
is
don't-
you went out with Arthur and you were like, Arthur, keep an eye on me. Okay.
Yeah, that was
That's a
clear.
mistake.
Yes.
I've seen Arthur drink 100 beers, like literally 100 beers.
Yeah, some mistakes were made. We took some calculated risks. It did not pay off. But that's okay.
We'll get you some oranges. We'll be all right.
It was rough. So a lot of stuff actually happened right after the podcast last week. Like we talked about, the Empress Chosen Army box got allocated. Then the GW dropped a new kind of licensing drop. They call it the Relics. That showcased a lot of different products across a lot of different ranges. But some of my favorites, I think it was really cool to see that Angron, their biggest non-Titan figure for Joy Toy, come out. So now there's quite a few Angron models if you think about it. Now this one is $400 or like high 300s depending on who you buy it from. But in my mind at least, it seems reasonable because it is basically painted, like
Yeah, I mean, like the Joy Toy stuff is, I'd say, like pretty worth its price point. I mean, like I've got the Sentinel Walker off my shelf behind
that
me,
thing's cool.
and it's big. It's
Yeah.
it's quite large. Like
High
it
quality
is
as
literally
shit.
the size of a real life chicken, like a fully grown
Yeah.
bird. And it comes with all the weapons and a pilot that sits inside of it like a GI Joe. I think that one was like 200.
And the Dread Knight's like metal, right?
No, it's not metal, but
It's got metal
I have
parts.
the Dread Knight.
Yeah,
It comes with a Terminator pilot,
Yep.
and it comes
And
with batteries because the silencer actually spins up and spins down, makes
That shit
noise
is
and
like
stuff.
the greatest toy I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
It's huge too. It's gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can use it. Look, you can
He's okay for
you can use the hammer to
Actually
as a nutcracker.
hammer
As
shit,
an actual hammer.
That's definitely. I've got a hammer like that big in my desk drawer. Like
This thing is it's adorable, and it looks just like it.
mhm.
It is hollow though. I do not recommend hitting anything with it.
Please don't.
You will break it and be very sad. But that is a pretty sweet.
So new Angron Joy Toy slaps.
Yeah,
Rat Paste in the chat asks, has anyone done battle reps with full Joy Toy armies? I have
don't know.
not seen a battle rep, but I have seen pictures of people playing a game at Joy Toy scale.
That would be something. I could see Kill Team. I don't know about full 40K.
What I wanted to do for a while is for like nights or chaos nights where your army is like 13 war dogs. Just have like 13 Joy Toy guys on bases, like Space Marines as the war dogs, because they're about the similar size.
Have you seen I guess I haven't really looked it up yet, but it seems like a lot of the knight players are taking sisters as allies, I guess, out of the Imperial Agents book.
Yeah, it's because they can run the emulator, which procs
Yeah.
ignore cover.
Yep.
Seems
And
good.
they're still taking the Calidus too. So, but I don't know. Like for those points, I think it's nearly 300 points. I was like, you could just have two more armigers. Like,
Yeah, it's just that like Armiger data sheets, like their data sheet ability is due to dog water unless you're actually using the full coterie of Imperial Knight detachment rules.
hmm,
Whereas like War Dogs, the reason War Dogs are so popular just as like a standalone army and as an add-in force is their data sheet rules just rock and roll.
Mhm. Their
And
right.
abilities
the
are
brigand
great.
just hits on twos,
Yeah.
and it's like
The actual characteristic part of their sheet is really good.
and the
But
fact
you
that they
can't.
have more chassis that do more things. So like the brigand has the Melta thing, and it also has the rotary cannon, whereas the War Dog Helverin has the Melta and a chainsaw,
Well,
and
also
it's
and the
It's
Imperial
super
ones
Melta.
are different too. They're not even
Right.
yeah.
so it's just a
But
force
you,
multiplier. You're basically just saying everything in my army potentially has an extra AP, right? Like when you're doing that when you're
oh yeah,
multiplying.
their melt is like crack
When you're
Melta.
doing the like access to ignore cover, you know what I mean? You're so someone theory crafted it. It's also a case of theoretical max damage. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
For the list. Sorry.
Yeah, but wait, so the emulator procs it for the knights?
Yeah, so it's kind of like the
Ah.
Hellhound. I'm pretty
Oh, if
positive on
I
this.
gotta look up this
It's
data
like
sheet now.
when it hits, you pick a target that it hit with one of its attacks, activate its activation, and then
Uh
everything else in your army that shoots at that unit gets ignore cover. So it's like a Hellhound.
okay. Yeah, I could see that then. Yeah. Especially with the long range Helvering guns.
Yeah.
Neat. Okay. That makes more sense.
Newsworthy. That's why, Rob.
Yeah, I like it. But also too, like, isn't it if you do it the other way around and you put, say, the armigers into a list, like because you can take up to three, they don't get the data sheet abilities like the reroll, well, the
It's
reroll, of
it's
course.
a it's an army rule and then a
Right.
detachment rule and then
Yeah.
a data sheet ability. So
And
that's why
So your data
War
sheet
Dogs
ability
are
is
so
always working.
popular, is because they don't need the Chaos Knights rule or the
ah,
detachment rule. Their data sheet rule is just makes them stand alone very solid for their points cost. Whereas Armigers
yep, you
are
needed
dog
them.
water unless they're in the Knight detachment.
Yeah, and that was yeah, because I was like, well, you can't rotate, you can't do anything cool if you just put them in a, like a guard army. Like I'd love to put them in a guard army. I'd love to put Canis Rex in there, but then you can't even play the strat you want to play on them.
Yeah.
So, like, whatever. Anyways, getting back to news. Um, Gundam Assemble is on the way. There's preview figures were sent out to some folks. Also, they are putting figures in with the collectible card game that comes
Yeah.
out in July
I have them
as
on pre-order.
as well. So that'll be neat. So you'll be able to get the Gundam Assemble miniatures game figures a bit early. The game itself is coming in 2026. We don't know
Yeah.
exactly when, but they
I
said
don't know how
2026.
substantiated this is, but I have heard from the retailer that the miniatures in the card, you know the pre-made decks that they're
Mhm.
selling, those miniatures might be exclusive to the launch, and that the miniatures that launch with the game next year might be different.
Oh, I don't know for sure. The
But I
ones they
mean,
show on the site for the card game are the same ones they've been showing for the as preview figures for
yeah, I don't know, but that's what I
the
was told.
miniatures game too. There's very little information out there, shockingly. So
From what I've been told, the Bandai trade sale accounts are weird. They're different than what the people are used to dealing with because they also
mhm.
it's like all encompassing. So it's like all of their card games, like
Yep.
everything is all part of that deal. So it's not like the straight sale of buying from like Mantic or GW.
Nope. And they are very, very particular. Let's just leave it at that.
I don't know. I think the price point is actually pretty solid because you get the pre-made deck and the figure for like $30. And there's five or six that you can get on pre-order, like 5 different decks with a
Mhm.
miniature each.
Yeah, it's all on the way. Hopefully we find out a little bit more. They've been a smidge cryptic about it, but that isn't unheard of when it comes to Bandai, unfortunately. Um, we also saw for the relics that there is going to be some new GW guides out now. I think I showed you guys this cool book, the ultimate guide to the Warhammer 40K that they put out around Christmas time last year. This thing's pretty cool. Um, they've got 2 more of these coming out now. That one will be the video game art, and one will be a character encyclopedia, and that looks to be significantly thick. So I imagine there's gonna be a lot of characters in there for them to kind of cover and things like that. So, and that one's written by Wade Price, I guess, who was the lore master, the head lore master there for a while. Not exactly sure uh, how he's affiliated with Games Workshop right now, but either way, I'm sure everybody remembers him. So yeah, that's majority of the stuff out there. It's been a bit of a slow news week, I guess you could say. But the fact that there is previews right around the corner is very exciting for sure on the Warhammer front, at
Tight.
least.
Well, let's do a quick commercial break and then let's dive into some of our topics and Q&As.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back. The topic tonight is about art, origins and evolution of Warhammer 40K art, which has a few subtopics. I want to start off by mentioning this legendary Warhammer 40K artist section that Rob put in the show notes. And these are some big names, like historically. So John Blanche, Jess Goodwin, Paul Dayton, Adrian Smith, Karl Kapnitsky. I always struggle with that name.
I think it's Kapleski.
Kapnitsky. Mark Gibbons,
Yeah,
Wayne
Mark
England,
Gibbons.
Alex Boyd, Raymond Swallen, Dave Gallagher. So like, there's a lot of names you've seen floating around the internet over the years. Some are more famous than others, but Wyatt mentioned something kind of earlier, which I thought was interesting. Uh, so Wyatt, why is this a hard subject for you?
Mostly because I don't know who any of these people are. I mean, like I know John Blanches and who Jess Goodwin are, but for the most part, Games Workshop has for so long not credited people in their various media departments, be it like who's writing rules, who's like editing codexes, who's being the artists for all their various products. Um, and so like if you showed me a famous piece of artwork, I'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize that. It's a really cool piece of art. Like I remember when that happened in like 5th edition. But I wouldn't know who these people are because they're just not credited.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So I'm gonna try something a little different today too. I want to thread some of our Q and A's into, like instead of just doing one then the other. Because now what I want to
Mm.
do is based on what Wyatt just said, I want to ask Haspel uh, a question that came from chat from Dave. He said, "What do authors get credited, but sculptors and book artists are not? Is it illegal ego stuff?"
I don't think it's a legal thing, and just
Mm.
speaking not from like a Games Workshop perspective thing, but the artists are credited, usually on the inside cover near the copyright page. It'll say cover art by somebody.
Hmm?
I'm not 100% sure of that for Black Library, but I know on my other books it does that.
Yeah,
It says that, and
it
I
does.
have. I'm sorry, Kenny.
No, you're right.
Um,
It does. It does say that.
Yeah, And I have like in Thonia's Reckoning, they did artwork. If you have the collector's edition of um, Rumiko Salakia, my starship captain, and it's phenomenal. But I have no idea who actually did it.
Mm. No, so something I'll say on the subject is that we saw with the Duncan situation,
Mm-hmm.
and Duncan became the name of the brand, the face of the brand,
Mm-hmm.
right? When they launched their painting YouTube channel, that for that time period, he is the fucking brand, bro. He's Flo from Progressive at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so that was an unforeseen consequence of social media, and that I think they're doing whatever they can to not let that repeat again. Like, who was the one who was telling the story about the artist who got fired because they were sharing their art on Pinterest or something like that?
No,
Yeah.
on DeviantArt. And
Yeah.
Kiara Quinn says Warhammer Art does credit the artists.
Yeah.
Um, and I
But they're
So
guess
you
doing
have to, he said that you have to buy it as a piece of standalone art from the web store.
Mhm.
So what I mean when I say like they don't like air quotes credit the artist is like in many other companies forms of media like um let's just say like a Wizards of the Coast D&D source book where you have like this big piece of artwork on a page.
Right.
It literally says like down in a corner like art by so and so like
Right.
as part of like the accreditation. So you when you are reading the book and you see that piece of artwork, you're like, oh, this dragon is so fucking cool. It says like, oh, Ben Dover painted this or whatever.
Right.
So like you associate that. Whereas like if I'm reading a Black Library novel and it
Mhm.
has the same boilerplate copy paste stuff like in the Grim Darkness, the Far Future, There's Only
Right.
War, all that stuff is like the first 3 pages. Like you just mentally skip over that because you want to read the book.
Right.
And you know.
Oh, so
And the-
I see what you're saying. You
Yeah.
you don't see it unless you go looking for it.
right.
they're
And the
doing their
only
they're
time
doing
I've
their
seen them
best
credit,
to not let them be as famous. Like all the names we just listed, all the famous people. It used to be
Mhm.
like what Wyatt just said. It was like these guys were like famous to us. Like
Mhm.
their names are out in front. You know what I mean?
the only time I've ever seen the sculptors credited have been in White Dwarf, or in like those compilation books that will have like a bunch of stuff. They'll say, "Oh, here's like the original sculpt of Pedro Cantor or something by so and so."
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean
Yeah.
it's a lot of things, right? Like so I'm just grabbing the first thing off of my desk here where it's the box for Azerman, the new Phoenix
Yeah.
Sword model. So like why don't they credit the person who painted this? Like why isn't that on the box somewhere like,
Mm.
oh, this was painted by our studio artist, you know, so and so. Um
I think
really
it is
basic
it
stuff like
is in
that.
a way because they credit the studio. It's Heavy Metal Team.
I don't even think they do that anymore. I'm looking on the box right now.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not
they
sure.
might not on the box.
I
but-
see previous statement. It's the Duncan effect. They don't want They don't want a name to be
Hmm.
their brand anymore.
yeah, I
And-
don't even know if it's that. I think it's the
Well,
nature of like work for hire.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Like to get back to the crux of the question with the legal issue stuff is that um in many cases, like the guy that we were talking about, he's a freelance artist, right? It's really easy for a company to contact a freelance artist that can be like, we need this, and this as part of this full page spread artwork. Like these are some things that you have to abide to as far as like color choices or whatever. And like that becomes the front page codex art of Chaos Space Marines. Um, but that guy's like a freelancer. He doesn't work for Games Workshop. And typically those people don't have managers or agents the way that a writer does, the way that a writer might have like a contract or different things that Mike could expound on. So that's why like if Dan Abnett writes a book, like his credit on writing that book is different than the guy who made the cover art.
Well, I think it's well. Again, I'm not speaking about Black Library because I don't know what they're. When I dealt with the art department at Black Library, they were really awesome. They just reached out to me and were like, "Hey, can you give me a? We want to do an artwork of Rumiko Salakia. Can you give us a detailed description of her, more than what's in the story?" So I did. I wrote like a 2-page description of her, and this artist created this brilliant painting, like really really cool. Um,
Mm.
but I didn't have a say, like I didn't have like veto power or anything like that, and it went through the whole art department. Now, when I got my cover done for Tor, um, I actually was consulted very briefly, but the artist had already done the cover. Like he had like 2 or 3 different covers, and Tor hired him. Like I didn't have interaction with him. It was the Tor art department said, "We have our cover artist do this," and he was like, "Which cover do you like the best?" Essentially, it was like A, B, or C, but they were already kind of done. And I think
Mm.
that's the advantage of like digital art, is that he was able to, like, if he had oil painted these things, you get one and that's
Yeah,
your cover.
you get
know
the
what I
one,
mean?
Yeah,
dog.
exactly. Yeah.
But because he had done it in Photoshop, I'm assuming, and it looked like a painting, we could still change things. Like and the for Black Library, it was they already they did work with the cover art, but I also think those guys get, in most cases, a one-time payment, right, for that
And
piece of
actually,
art.
that's a question I'm gonna right now.
And then
Zakoff's asked you: do artists get a one-time payment for art, or is it a royalty system like some things are? Do artists retain the right to their art for after GW buys it, or is it solely GW's? That's Zakov asking that question,
yeah.
Haspel. So you
And
can explain.
again, I'm talking about my own experience, and I'm also talking out of my ass here. So I don't exactly know, but I don't think it's a royalty thing. I think
Yeah.
it's I think it's a one-time
Straight
payment,
purchase. Yeah.
work for hire.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
purchase it, and then they do not retain the rights.
In
Now I
my
do
experience as an
think,
artist, that's typically what people buy from me is the rights.
Yeah, I mean, it says in this old book, I got the City Fight book here, and it says these are you been produced in house or as worked for hire.
yeah, and my guess is that um my guess is that uh there are exceptions. Like, for instance, if John Blanche now wants to put out a book of all of his art, right? I don't know if he would have to negotiate and buy those back
Yeah,
from GW, or but I'm sure he would have to talk to them
he'd be
and
allowed to
go,
use them in
hey,
his sizzle reel, right?
mm,
But he wouldn't be able to actually publish something without a royalty back to
without
them.
with yeah, he'd have to do they'd have to do something. They'd have to go
Mm-hmm.
through there and go,
Hmm.
look, I'm trying to put out a compilation of, like, for instance, if I wanted to put out a compilation of all my short stories and I go, hey, I would like my Black Library short stories in this compilation, I would have to negotiate with Black Library. I would have to buy those rights back
Hmm.
or something.
Yeah.
I don't get to just put them in there.
Let me
And
ask.
and I would assume that's the same for artists.
No, it's
Mm,
definitely the
probably.
same. Stormin Mormon asks a question. I'm asking this to Rob. What's your favorite 40K art piece, Rob?
Ooh. You know, I was there's a lot of good ones out there, but I really like this one. You might remember it. It was on various rule books, but I believe it was the cover of the 7th edition mini rule book where it had like a commissar and it was drawn by Raymond Swalland and it was the small mini rule book and it had like gold foiling on it. Um
I remember that.
and it had like Bane blades and all sorts of shit all over it, which is a really cool piece, just the composition and everything. That's probably one of my more favorites that I can think of right off the top of my head. All the personally, I like all the Raymond Swallow stuff, just because
Well,
his
then a
composition is pretty
two-part
good too.
question. Kara Quinn asks, who's the most iconic 40K artist, Blanche or pick one? That's your guy.
Uh, Man, that's a tough one because it's like asking the best who is the best XYZ sports position player of all time, but
Who's the most iconic for you? It's not who's the best,
iconic.
not who's the
I
best.
mean, you can't think 40K without thinking Blanche. I mean, you really can't.
That's why he said Blanche or pick one, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it really. I mean, you could say Jess Goodwin, but I mean, his isn't as iconic. was defining, but it's not iconic in my mind, I suppose. Um, because we know the shapes and we know the things of a lot of that Jess drew. But with Blanche, he almost set up the universe,
Yeah.
like
Which
so.
which actually is a good question because like Wyatt comes in from a different perspective, in a different era. Wyatt, what's the most iconic art piece for you? Want to
I
compare
mean, it's the Orneas Cowgirl on the throne.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
Uh, I was gonna ask because Rob, you might actually know this off the top of your head because I remember that there was a lot more
that was
artistic.
Gallagher.
Was it Gallagher? So there
I
was a
think
lot more
so.
artistic freedom in those days, right? Because you would have like wildly different styles of depictions
Yeah,
from
different
different artists.
proportions, different.
True.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And so
Hundred
like
percent.
I remember when I was getting into it, I always really liked the more like painterly style approach, like that one image, and also the
The proportions
proportions.
were preposterous. I loved it.
Yeah, where
Well,
the
I mean,
Space
even the
Marines were like
miniatures.
real like
Yeah, it
tree
was
like
Gallagher.
arms and legs, very very thick. They weren't like skinny waisted or anything. Um like extra bulky. Like really made you feel like the Space Marines were like these walking tanks.
Hmm.
Um but I mean that's my I'm like a big Ultramarines guy, so like I'd say
That's a good answer though, dude. That's a
like
good
Mm-hmm.
that
answer.
artwork
Mm-hmm.
is by far my favorite piece of Ultramarine artwork. And I also vividly remember when I was getting into it, they had just started to dip their toes into digital stuff.
Mm.
And there was a
Yeah.
slew of Black Library books with the cover art that was like digital artwork.
I think that's
And
generally Adrian Smith
I'd have to go back and pull it out of my Foot Locker,
or
but I still
Neil
have my
Roberts.
very first Black Library novel, which was Dead Sky Black Sun.
Ooh,
And the Space Marine armor of
yeah.
Uriel Ventress and the way that Uriel Ventress looked on that cover is very different than what stuff looks like now.
It's true.
Yeah, and
Things
I
now look very uniform and clean,
Homogenized, yeah.
yeah.
Well,
homogenized.
I think around sixth edition, but like the transition between fifth and sixth, they kind of had like a homogenization, for lack of a
Homogenization
better
is a
term.
good describer because depending on who you are and what you think of that term, it can be a good thing or a bad thing based on context. The way I look at it for 40K is it's about lining up their brand, right? It's
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
it looks like
They
this.
had like a lookbook or
This is our
like
brand,
a
exactly.
show Bible, for lack
When
of a
they
better
started
term.
really producing and like their vision of moving forward, that uniformity, right, was I feel like very important for them to become a big boy player. But I do think that the homogenization honestly does sacrifice a lot of that expression. Like, because think about your answers are like so for you, like that possibly the way that was drawn possibly got you into this bitch, right? Versus if they never had that and it looked a different way, like skinny armed fucking Space Marines or this or less, they're not exaggerated. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
having more options stylistically is almost always your best solution when it comes to like attracting people to something. Because when you pick one thing, one style, one brand, you have to hope that it's the best brand and the best style, or some people aren't going to like it. So what that ends up doing is typically watering it down. And I was going to ask the same question to Haspel. Haspel, what's the most iconic piece of art for you? I bet it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, actually I was just talking to Prater Jen in the chat. It's the art. It's a modification though. It's the art that was the cover of the Rogue Trader book
Yep.
with the crimson fists
Oh,
making kind of a
shit.
last stand
That is.
on the hill kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, but the one I love more than that is they a couple years ago, and I'm going to be a heretic for saying this. A couple of years ago, they redid that artwork all with Primaris Marines,
Yep.
and it looked phenomenal.
Mm.
It
looked
was really good. It
because it
was.
got rid of the kind of jankiness
Yeah,
that's in
there's
the
Well,
really
they
old.
that was the third time they did it, Mike. Because you remember
Oh,
when the first time they redid it was for the 30th anniversary.
you're right. You're right.
You're right.
And then I
It
have
looked
another.
like an old heavy metal magazine back in the day.
What looked like a bolt thrower
Yeah.
album cover. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But the other piece of art that I really like, I actually got it blown up and made into like a fake tapestry. It's a Grey Knight piece of artwork, and I have no idea who the artist was, but I think it came out of the 5th edition Grey Knight Codex, and it was originally black and white. And somebody went through on a website and colorized it, and it is beautiful.
Nice.
What does it depict? What does it depict?
It's Grey Knights with like a Dread Knight in the background fighting a ton of demons, just like they're being
One of those like black and
overrun
white
by
sketches
demons.
in the background of a random page.
It was a piece of
Yeah.
like flair or cover fluff art in the codex. It wasn't like its own page or whatever.
It was like bottom left corner drawing, shit like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like some of those.
And it was like a black and
out.
white. Yeah, it's
we don't really get
nice.
those anymore. That's the thing, man. Is like there used to be like just random ass. Bro, the thing that always stood out to me is I'm waiting for Rob to hear this one. Was it 3.5 Chaos Codex where you had the different cults had a very specific section and one big drawing of like a Death Guard Marine, a Plague Marine, the Noise Marine looking like a Cenobite with the black eyes.
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
In the voice box, dude. That
Yeah,
I was like, bro, they don't get that shit no more. That shit was so wild, dude. It came out of left field stylistically.
Dude, he redid a lot of those for this year.
Yeah, I miss that era too because, I mean, like in one way or another, all four of us are artists in our own way, and I do kind of pine for those days where you're like, you had 100 different visions of what 40K could be, and one of those would resonate the most with you, and then that would be like that's how you see 40K in your head, compared to like now we have 8th, 9th, 10th edition where like everything kind of looks the same. There's not like a whole lot of stylistic
It's a unified
difference.
brand. It's a unified brand.
Because like in that same book was the very famous picture of Typhus, where he's like one arm picking up a guardsman by his skull and just like holding him in the air. And Typhus is just like a mountain of power armor, and he's like super imposing.
Dude, yeah, that's Adrian Smith. But the thing is, I don't disagree with their choice to unified brand, because when managing any assets library, that's just better. And especially like I don't think it's the best strategy for cultivating like fan base. But thing is, they did both. That's the thing. They already cultivated the fan base with the wild expression in their art for what, 20 years? So I can't even be mad at it. They already fucking did it. And now they've unified the brand to play on the big stage, right? Get the big deals, get the big contracts, get the Netflix originals, get everything. And what's the coolest part about it is this still exists.
Yeah.
So people get to go back and re-explore this shit.
Oh,
I need to. It might be hard to see, but let me go the other way. So behind me, you can see that I have the Angels of Death Codex with the very famous Blood Angel guy. I love that artwork. And then below that, I have the graphic novel Titanicus.
Oh man,
Grant Abnett wrote. Woo! And I also have, I forget the title of it, but it's a compilation of graphic novels that 40K Black Library graphic novels, which were from a publication they no longer make. Mike, do you remember the name of it?
Is it like
Inferno? Yeah.
Inferno. Yeah. Or
so it's a compilation of those. That's in my closet, but that had a lot of really famous stuff. Like there's like a Deathwing comic, and there's one with the Space Wolves where they take on a Orc Stompa, and that's another thing that I kind of miss that we don't have anymore, where we had stuff like the graphic novels, and you can see the same comparison today where you have stuff like those graphic novels from Inferno and Titanicus and stuff. And then we have the Marvel Comics Marnius Calgar run, which is dope. I have all 5 issues. It's a great comic run. It's very cool. Like it has one of the greatest 40K memes of all time, which is Marnius like punching uppercut the head off of a Lord of Skulls, which is tight. But it's very homogenized artwork, right? Like there's not a whole lot of artistic freedom other than the like storyboarding aspect of the comic, Whereas compared to those old ones, you had like some wild stuff. I really should get that book out, and I'll put pictures up on the Instagram of it. But I to this day remember vividly stuff where like the super heavy black line art style of the Space Wolves one, and then you had the like the I forget, I think it was named Spirit Walk was the name of the title of the Deathwing guy. And that one was done almost like that one really famous comic artist, Kenny, who does the very lifelike stuff like
Ross
Kingdom Come.
or
Yeah, it's reminiscent
Alex
of that
Ross
style.
is his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so you have both of those things in the same book. And so it's like, again, you have like these 8 different visions of 40K that are all technically true, right? Because there is, back in those days, there was like nobody was right. There was no this is
Yeah.
the only way, right? Whereas now that is kind of the case, which is a little sad.
Yeah, no, dope discussion. I hope to keep this thing going on the Instagram, like you said. We actually did get through our Q&As, and we actually were able to tackle this topic in a way
Mm-hmm.
that I think hit multiple angles and expertises. So
Mm-hmm.
we've hit our time. Thank you guys for submitting the Q&A. It's a 2-part reminder. We've upped the ante. Dice giveaway for the best Would You Rather submission to 40klongword@gmail.com. The 3 submissions we got didn't make the cut, so better prizes. Also, reminder, this is Adepticon month. Your tokens have been emailed to you. Please go check your email. Literally type 40K long word. See if it's hidden somewhere in your fucking Gmail, dude, and fucking get that token and do us a favor and get registered.
Pre-registered.
Please, oh my god, dude, it's 150 teams, 153 teams, man. Like we're gonna have a big day. And with no further ado, let me kick it over to my man Mike Haspel for the legendary outro.
Painting. No, Lal, that's a flower. Painting. I'm kind of cheating on that one. It's not a movie. That's a TV show.
Oh,
That's Star Trek Next Generation.
That is correct, Wyatt.
dang it.
Damn, Wyatt.
I think I would know this a little better.
All right. Well,
Mm.
thank you for a legendary outro. Some people in chat said it's great having Mike back. It's like the old days. And I agree.
Yep.
It is.
Glad to be back.
Wyatt, you want to take us out of here?
Rob.
So that's it for this one. Thanks for hanging out and watching and listening to the show with us. So make sure to head on over to thelongwar.net and become a veteran of the Long War today.